He was an instrument of finality, and his purpose was Julian Vance, a man who moved pieces on the world's board from a throne of shadow and steel. Julian was the villain in a story that kept trying to right itself, and for reasons unknown, self-proclaimed saviors kept appearing at his side, whispering of redemption. Abel had disposed of another one just last night. He couldn't recall her number in the long, grim tally. It didn't matter. If Julian deemed them threats, they ceased to exist. A digital chime, meant only for him, echoed in his mind. The system confirmed its new directive. Gongle Mubal strategy target Julian Vance. He knelt before Julian, the chill of the marble floor seeping through his trousers, awaiting the inevitable. Julian considered him, his gaze distant. He wondered aloud what the current progress was. Abel's own system reported 99%. A small, intricately carved silver locket fell near Julian's chaise lounge. The woman who dropped it, the newest arrival, offered a smile that didn't reach her eyes. 3 days after she retrieved the locket, Abel was dispatched to the Gilded Cage, an exclusive club where secrets were the primary currency. He found the woman, Elena, shielding a child from the club's heavy-handed security. Her voice was firm, declaring that all people were created equal and they had no right. Just as a baton was about to fall, Abel moved. A swift, brutal kick sent the guard sprawling. He announced that he was taking the woman, an order from Vance himself. The name was enough. Black sedans materialized at the curb, their tinted windows reflecting the city's neon glow. Men in dark suits and ghost-like masks emerged, their presence a clear signal of whose authority was at play. Elena, ushered into the car, asked where they were going. He had learned she was originally from a forgotten town in the Rust Belt, the daughter of a hunter, sold to the club to cover her father's gambling debts. He answered her with a single word: penthouse. She peered out the window at the glittering skyline, a mix of fear and confusion clouding her features. She asked if she was being taken to work. Abel sighed internally. Her performance was commendable, but her strategy was flawed. He clarified her new position was not as staff, but as a concubine. It was as if he'd flipped a switch. The woman, whose name he now knew was Elena, began shouting, threatening to jump from the moving vehicle. Abel signaled for the driver to decelerate. She declared she would rather die than be any man's mistress. Cradling the small girl she'd brought from the club, she threw open the door and leapt, a grand gesture of defiance. She landed, by a design far too perfect to be coincidence, directly in the path of Julian, who was taking a rare evening stroll in a simple coat and hat. She begged him to save her, promising him anything. Julian, with a predator's grace, took her into his protection. Abel's men were no match for the raw, focused violence Julian could unleash when he chose to. "Commander, do we pursue?" one of his men asked. Abel brushed at the dusty footprint on his chest where Julian's shoe had connected. He told them to return to the penthouse. He would handle it. This elaborate theater was exhausting. A new contender, a new script. For some time now, people with ulterior motives had been drawn to Julian. They possessed knowledge of his past and anachronistic ideas, always appearing at the most opportune moments. They were all classified under a single designation: contenders. They sprouted like weeds after a rain, endless and persistent. He drove to a dilapidated clapboard house on the city's fringe. An old man with vacant eyes was chopping wood, the motion mechanical. Abel approached. The man looked up, his expression hollow. Abel asked if Elena was his daughter. The old man's response was a frantic denial. His daughter was dead, he insisted, replaced by a monster, a demon that wore her skin. Back at the penthouse, Julian was waiting, leaning against the railing of the balcony overlooking the city. He asked for the report. Abel informed him that the man had lost his mind. Following Julian's instructions, he had left a substantial sum of money with the man's nephew. Abel refilled Julian's glass. Julian drank it down in one motion, his knuckles white as he gripped the crystal tumbler. He repeated that the man was truly mad. Elena's arrival was no accident. Unlike previous contenders, she was a real person in this world, her history verifiable. Abel had already investigated. The original Elena had been the hunter's daughter, poor but content. Then one day her father changed. He fell into drinking and gambling, selling his daughter for cash. The entire tragic sequence had been engineered for the sole purpose of placing her in Julian's path. Julian's empty glass slipped from his hand, falling from the balcony to the street far below. He sounded weary, almost drunk, confessing that if this continued, he might start turning on those closest to him. The collar of his shirt was open, and in the moonlight, his skin seemed translucent. He spoke Abel's name. Abel's focus, which had drifted, snapped back. He dropped to his knees, stating that his attention had wavered and he requested punishment. Julian chuckled, a low, humorless sound. He turned and bent down, tapping Abel's cheek. He observed that Abel always referred to himself as a servant when he felt guilty. Abel admitted his mistake, a promise to do better that they both knew was a formality. Julian patted the space beside him on the balcony ledge, a silent invitation to sit. From his pocket, he produced a silver locket, the one Elena had claimed was a treasured heirloom. He asked Abel when he had lost it. Without thinking, Abel answered. It was the year Julian had finalized his consolidation of power. They were returning from a hostile takeover when their convoy was ambushed. Julian had been thrown from an overpass during the firefight. The locket must have been lost then. Abel had no family, no friends. Before Julian, he had scavenged for survival. The world saw Julian Vance as a monster, ruthless, manipulative, and cruel. But Abel knew the truth. Julian was the best person in this world. And so, he remembered everything about him. A faint smile touched Julian's lips. He seemed pleased by the answer, remarking on Abel's memory for such distant events. Abel replied that he dared not forget anything concerning Julian. Julian's smile faded as he murmured that Abel had forgotten quite a lot. Before Abel could ask what he meant, Julian straightened up and tossed the locket over the railing. He gave the order to dispose of the woman, adding that they should find a good home for the little girl. When Abel arrived at the safe house where Elena was staying, she was sitting outside, cutting paper snowflakes despite the season. She asked him why. He didn't answer. He believed she would understand soon enough. The little girl who had escaped with Elena stood nearby, watching. As Abel finished digging the grave, she was still there. He asked if she was frightened. She shook her head and placed a small white wildflower on the fresh earth. She said, her voice unnaturally calm, that this was the 99th. A cold tension seized Abel, his hand tightening on the hilt of his weapon. The girl looked at him, her eyes empty, as if she were a puppet. She stated that this couldn't go on, that it had to end. These contenders were truly despicable, she added, not even sparing a child. Abel drew his blade and lunged, but was thrown back by a wave of unseen force. When he recovered, the girl was herself again, looking around in a daze before bursting into tears, crying for her sister. Confirming the entity had departed, Abel took the girl to an old contact who arranged her transport to the West Coast. Julian had found a childless couple for her, wealthy merchants known for their kindness. She would have a good life. But the child's words echoed in his mind. What did she mean, the 99th? And what was supposed to end? Returning to the penthouse, Abel heard the frantic chirping of the canary in the gilded cage by the entrance. He refilled its seed and water before proceeding to Julian's chambers. It was past the time Julian usually woke from his afternoon rest. A synthesized voice filled the air. Congratulations, host, on binding with the Villengonglia strategy system. Target, Julian Vance. Abel froze, a chilling dread spreading from his core. Julian tossed a leather boot from his bed, which landed squarely in Abel's arms. He asked what he was daydreaming about. Abel confirmed the girl had been sent away. He knelt to put the boots on for Julian. Due to the contenders, Julian had dismissed all the domestic staff. Abel attended to all his personal needs. Julian detected his unease. He nudged his other boot away and rested his bare foot on Abel's shoulder. Abel confessed that the contender was still present, and that she had said Elena was the 99th. He fought the urge to grasp Julian's ankle, a long and desperate struggle, but his hands remained at his sides. He stayed kneeling. Julian leaned back on his hands, tilting his neck back, a profound sense of relief in his voice. So it was the 99th. It was finally ending. He instructed Abel to increase security and to eliminate any confirmed contender without hesitation. Abel asked what he should do if the contender was someone close to Julian. Eliminate them, Julian said, without a flicker of doubt, a strange anticipation in his eyes. He then commanded Abel to help him dress. Julian was not a bloodthirsty man. The contenders deserved their fate. The first time they met was in a derelict alleyway, Julian in fine clothes but covered in blood. Abel, thinking he was dead, had started to search his pockets. A voice, weak but clear, had told him there was no money, but if he could help, $10 million would be his reward. Abel didn't know how much that was, but in the dim light, he saw the boy's face. It was beautiful. His voice was beautiful. He was an unwanted thing just like Abel. Abel decided to take him. He learned later that Julian was the scion of a powerful family, but his life was no better than Abel's. His mother despised him, his father was suspicious, his siblings jealous. Assassination attempts and poison were routine. Julian had told him that no one in the world loved him, that he could only rely on himself. Abel's heart had ached for him, and in that moment, a dangerous fantasy was born. Perhaps Abel could be his reliance. When $10 million in bearer bonds were laid before him, his eyes saw only Julian's face. Julian had smiled, the sound like warmth in a cold winter, and asked if he wanted the money or to come with him. Abel had chosen to follow. Since then, his world had been filled with purpose. He toyed with the silver locket he'd retrieved from the street below, his thoughts a tangled mess. After Julian had seized control of his family's empire, he could have taken the highest seat of power for himself, but he hadn't. Abel had once asked him why. Julian never answered, just smiled. But Abel knew. Julian was hiding someone in his heart. Abel didn't know who, but Julian must have loved them very much. He was jealous of that person. Intensely jealous. A voice from behind him made him jump. Julian had appeared without a sound. The locket slipped from his fingers. The cold of winter was settling over the city. Julian, wrapped in a heavy cashmere coat, bent to pick it up. He asked why Abel had it, reminding him he had thrown it away. This was the one Elena had dropped, the one Julian had tossed from the balcony. Abel had secretly retrieved it. Julian rubbed the silver with his thumb, asking if Abel liked it. He showed no anger, nor any intention of returning it. Abel shook his head, saying it was Julian's. He didn't like it, but it was Julian's and he wanted it. Julian raised an eyebrow, a small smile playing on his lips, before once again tossing the locket over the railing into the darkness. Abel's gaze followed it down. Julian tapped him on the head, then unclasped the vintage watch from his own wrist and pressed it into Abel's hand. He told him this was his now. There was no need to pick up what others had discarded. Abel's hand trembled as he held the watch. It was Julian's most prized possession, the only personal effect he consistently wore. Julian told him that anything he wanted, Abel only had to ask. If he had it, it was his. Anything? Of course. Abel clutched the watch, grateful for the darkness that hid his expression. He wanted Julian, more than anything. He sat outside Julian's chambers that night, unable to sleep, the heavy watch a comforting weight in his hand, looking at the full moon with an unfamiliar joy. Host, complete the mission soon or you will be erased. The voice in his head was back. The nascent joy shattered, plunging into an abyss. He took a deep breath, drew his sidearm, and pushed open the door. Julian was waiting. So, the 100th contender is you. He used the barrel of his own pistol to lift Abel's chin. Yes, Abel whispered. It's me, Julian. I haven't been replaced. Julian let out a heavy sigh, getting out of bed to stand before him. He tapped Abel's head with the grip of his gun. He asked what the progress level was. Abel summoned the interface in his mind, his breath catching. Julian pressed him to speak. 99%. Julian seemed to relax, pinching the bridge of his nose. He dropped his weapon and gave Abel a light kick. It was late. He told him to go to sleep. Abel remained frozen, staring at the crimson number on his internal display. He called out to the so-called system, demanding to know what 99% meant. He was told that the strategy value also represented affection. 50 was a normal friend. Over 80 could be a life partner. He demanded again to know what it meant. The system paused, its cold, mechanical voice tinged with what sounded like confusion. He loves you. His heart skipped a beat. He kept his head down, not daring to look at Julian. But as a familiar scent washed over him, he instinctively grabbed Julian's wrist as he turned to leave. Julian loved him, too. Julian's voice was sharp. Let go. Abel had never disobeyed an order, but this time he wanted to try. He tightened his grip, swiftly moving to support Julian's back and lowering him onto the bed. His heart hammered against his ribs. Julian, His fingers brushed against the warm skin of Julian's chest. A reality so potent he hadn't dared to dream it. The system's words had shattered his restraint. He forgot all sense of hierarchy and duty. He only knew that he wanted him. A sharp slap echoed in the room, his cheek burning. He came to his senses, scrambling off the bed and onto his knees. A second slap followed. Julian fastened his robe, covering the marks on his chest. He asked, his voice dangerously low, if Abel was clear-headed now. Abel could only manage a choked, I deserve death. Julian's final word was a command. Julian was angry. He had Abel transferred to the motor pool in the estate's garage. The system was incessant. It insisted that Julian Vance loved him to his core, that he was just proud, that Abel just needed to push a little harder. It was so loud. The special operations team had just finished a drill, and their armored vehicles were caked with mud. A subordinate brought over a pristine white sports car. It was Julian's favorite, the Snowdrift. Julian valued cleanliness. Abel would have to be meticulous. The system continued its monologue. If Abel failed to conquer Julian Vance, this world would be destroyed. Abel asked why. He didn't understand. As far as he could tell, the country was stable, the people prosperous. This was all Julian's work. Though the political and corporate leaders feared Julian, they knew that without him, they wouldn't have their current security. What did the world's destruction have to do with Julian? The system explained that Julian Vance had awakened to his own consciousness, deviating the plot from its track. The protagonists' destinies were damaged. They were the center of the world's operational rules, the pillars that supported it. Without them, the world's collapse was only a matter of time. Abel paused in his polishing. The snowdrift's engine rumbled impatiently. He had learned from previous contenders that this world was a grand romance novel, and Julian was its villain. According to the original plot, Julian was supposed to fall in love with the heroine, fight the hero for her, kill indiscriminately, and finally be defeated by the pair, his body left for wolves in the wilderness. Abel's fists clenched. If he succeeded in the conquest, the world would return to its designated track. The system confirmed this was correct, which also meant Julian would die. That was the consequence of success. The system tried to persuade him. He was the most likely person to conquer Julian Vance. Only he could save the world. A cold smile touched Abel's lips. This world meant nothing to him. The only thing he cared about was Julian. He continued polishing the car. The system asked if he didn't care about the world at all. He retorted, asking if the world had ever cared about him. Before Julian, survival itself was a question. Every day was winter. Julian had given him spring. He was more important than the world. The system offered him everything: money, status, love, if he could conquer Julian. Could even take him to other worlds, make him a professional contender. With enough points, he could have eternal life, become a god. The temptation of immortality was potent. But the system didn't understand him, and it didn't understand Julian. He told it that it had made a mistake. From the moment it appeared, there was no longer any chance of Julian loving him. The system protested, citing the 99%. Abel shook his head with a sad smile. It wasn't 99% anymore. The progress value had dropped to 90. The system fell silent, seemingly trying to rationalize this. Abel let it. It would see for itself. Before, because of the contenders, Julian had taken no wife, no companions. But now the enemy was in the open. There was no need for caution. Suddenly, a stream of beautiful women began to frequent the penthouse. A young heiress he recognized, the illegitimate daughter of a senator, pointed at him as he brought a car around. She told Julian she wanted Abel to be her driver. She was beautiful, but her character was rotten. Julian paused, a glass of whiskey halfway to his lips. Abel hadn't seen him in a month. He looked thinner. The woman, sensing Julian's displeasure, started to backtrack, but Julian just smiled faintly and squeezed her cheek, saying whatever the beauty wanted, she would get. The system chimed in, ecstatic that the progress value had just ticked up by 1 point. It urged Abel to act pitiful, certain that Julian felt sorry for him. Fine. He would play along. He looked at Julian with a pleading expression. Sir, Julian's voice cut him off like a whip. Didn't you hear her? Get the car. The progress value dropped to 80%. Julian wanted to go boating on the lake with his new companion. The limousine ride was bumpy. Abel deliberately slowed down. From inside the car, he could hear the muffled sounds of laughter and flirtatious chatter. He heard a woman's voice, offering Julian a grape, saying it was especially sweet. His hands tightened on the steering wheel. As the car turned onto a busy market street, the crowd parted. But there were always those who didn't pay attention. The car stopped abruptly with a screech of tires. The sound of shattering glass came from within. A woman in a red dress emerged from the car, her face a mask of fury. She berated him, asking if he even knew how to drive. He apologized. She slapped his face with her glove, screeching that an apology wasn't enough after he had startled Julian. She grabbed a riding crop from the seat and struck him across the back. Julian leaned out, gave Abel a single, detached glance, and did nothing to stop her. With that silent permission, the woman's blows became more vicious. She had long desired Julian. Abel knew that. He also knew of her clumsy attempts to gain favor. Before, as Julian's right-hand man, he had thwarted her several times. Her vengeful nature made this attack predictable. He wasn't surprised. And a man as intelligent as Julian certainly wasn't surprised either. This was Julian's. Finally, Julian spoke, his tone bored. "That's enough. This is a public street. Abel, return to the estate and report to the head of security for punishment." He disappeared back into the car. The woman shot Abel a triumphant smirk. The system sounded confused. It asked why this was happening if Julian loved him. Abel thought to himself, "I'm just a servant." He washed the dried blood from his arms with cold water from a hose in the garage. The progress value had fallen to 70%. He knew, and he knew it would continue to fall. The system demanded to know why. Because Julian's affection had conditions. Abel sat on the garage floor, looking up at the sky. It was overcast, the sun hidden, but the world was still bright. Many years ago, he had asked Julian why he never fell for any of the contenders, even those who would die for him. Julian's answer had been simple. Because they will always leave me. Why would I love someone who is destined to disappear? A tragic ending was not worth starting. Julian was a rational man. From the moment the system bound itself to Abel, there was no longer any possibility between them. The system seemed agitated, claiming Abel should never have told Julian of its existence. Abel scoffed. Julian was too smart. He would have found out eventually. A genuine smile touched his lips. The wounds didn't seem to hurt as much. He asked the system if it had only just realized that he loved him. He could almost hear the grinding of digital teeth. He had to thank it, he mused. If it hadn't bound him, Julian would never have had the chance to find his own happiness. The system asked if he wouldn't care if Julian Vance married another woman and had children. As long as Julian was happy. Love-addled fool, the system spat. The sound of his own laughter echoed in the empty garage. He felt a strange sense of relief. It started to rain. He wondered if Julian was back, if he was having fun. Marry and have children? How could he not care? He heard gossip from the new staff. The senator's daughter had been thrown out of the penthouse, barely clothed. One maid said she deserved it. Another wondered aloud if Julian was incapable. Her friend quickly shushed her, telling her not to let Commander Abel hear. The first maid scoffed, saying it didn't matter, he had fallen from grace. Fallen from grace. He smirked. He would let them slide this time. The progress value continued to plummet. In a few short months, it dropped to 50%. Now, he didn't even qualify as a loyal servant. The system had gone silent. No matter how he tried to call it, there was no response. It seemed to despise him. How petty. The senator's daughter died, reportedly from pneumonia. Julian dismissed all his other female companions and brought a new young woman home. The staff whispered that Julian was truly smitten with her. Her name was Claire. About 2 weeks prior, Julian and a young, charismatic senator had gone on a corporate hunting retreat in the mountains. Claire had appeared out of nowhere, and the hunt had quickly turned into a rescue. Julian brought her back, and the senator even sent his personal physician to check on her. Abel hadn't seen Julian smile so happily in a long time. The girl was lovely. He felt a sense of gladness. With her around, maybe there would be less violence in Julian's life. He had seen Claire from a distance. She wasn't stunningly beautiful, but her smile was exceptionally sweet, like a small sun. He thought he understood why Julian liked her. When you've spent too long in the winter, you yearn for sunlight. Julian was like that, and so was he. But it had nothing to do with him anymore. His job was to maintain the cars. The news of his fall from grace had spread throughout their circles. The once feared commander of Julian's elite unit was now a glorified mechanic. People avoided him, except for Claire. Why do they listen to you so well? Claire ran a hand over the hood of the white snowdrift, her eyes sparkling. Abel had just returned with polishing supplies and found her standing there. She wasn't supposed to be in the garage. She was still recovering from her injuries, and Julian had forbidden her from wandering. She repeated her question, running up to him and tilting her head, a cheerful smile on her face. "Are you mute? Do you have a name? Why don't you speak?" She fired off questions, a whirlwind of energy. He told her she shouldn't be here. Her eyes lit up. "Oh, you can talk. What's your name? Why do you wear that mask?" She completely missed his impatience. He told her his name was Abel. She asked if he had a last name. He did, but it was no business of hers. She suggested he take her last name. Abel Hayes. That sounds nice, doesn't it? She still hadn't gotten an answer to her first question. "All things have a spirit," he said. "They know who is good to them." Her eyes darted around. "Can I help you work on the cars?" she asked, her expression full of hope. For a moment he wanted to agree, but Julian's voice cut through the air from a distance. As he approached, an aura of cold authority settled over the garage, making it hard to breathe. Abel quickly put down his supplies and bowed his head. Julian walked right up to him, pulling Claire behind him. His voice was glacial. "You have too much free time." Claire stepped in front of Abel. "It was my fault. I came here on my own. It has nothing to do with Abel." Julian's gaze bored into him. "Are you too close?" Before Abel could answer, Claire spoke up. "We're friends now. Don't bully him." She took Julian's hand, her tone turning wheedling. "He has my last name now. Can you assign him to be my bodyguard?" "Abel Hayes. It's a great name." Julian laughed, a cold, sharp sound that held no humor. He pulled Claire into his arms and slapped Abel across the face. "Know your place. Don't do anything unnecessary." "Yes, sir." The progress value dropped to 40%. The system's voice returned, flat and cold. It dropped again. "Why are you still smiling?" Abel retorted, "None of your business." He suddenly had a thought. Is Claire the heroine? The system simply replied, "None of your business," and went silent again. He heard that Julian had confined Claire to her rooms, but she was not one to listen. Whenever Julian was busy, Claire would sneak down to the garage. "Abel, can you tell me more stories about Julian?" She always brought him pastries, always the kind Julian favored. She was truly doted on. He was happy to tell her stories, but different people have different perspectives. "Wow, Julian is that ruthless." Ruthless. They caused the trouble first. Claire's brow furrowed. But he didn't have to kill them. They must have had their reasons. She spoke with the unshakable conviction of a saint. Claire was genuinely kind. Not like him, a man stained with sin. She patted his shoulder. "I know you had no choice. I don't blame you." He just smiled. He had always had a choice. They deserved to die. Abel, will you teach me how to drive? He hesitated. Your injuries haven't healed. Julian, that's all you know. Please, just teach me. Please, good Abel. He couldn't resist her pleading. He prepared to show her the most docile sedan in the collection. I want to drive that one, Claire said, pointing to the white sports car. He told her the snowdrift was off limits. It only responded to Julian. But Claire didn't listen. She got into the driver's seat. Abel stood by warily, ready for the car's security systems to engage. But this time, the snowdrift started without resistance. They seemed to have known each other for a long time. Claire expertly maneuvered the car onto the private track behind the estate, handling it with a confident grace. Why? No one had ever been able to handle the snowdrift like that. Not even him. The sound of the progress value dropping echoed in his head. He spun around. Julian was standing not far away, his eyes fixed on Claire, never wavering. Abel knelt outside Julian's door all night. Claire came to plead for him but was dragged away by guards. The next day, she was back in the garage, crying as she applied antiseptic to his wounds. Abel, she sobbed, tears splashing onto his knees. Julian wants to marry me. It was absurd. You don't want to? He asked. I'm scared, she whispered. He had thought she loved Julian. What a waste. What do you need me to do? He asked. Help me escape. The black limousine, decorated for a wedding, wound its way towards the private airstrip. But no one noticed that the bride inside had been swapped. Abel waited with a nondescript sedan at a side street corner. Soon, Claire ran up, breathless. She mysteriously pulled a pastry from her bag and stuffed it in his mouth. We have a long drive. I was afraid you'd get hungry. The getaway car was fast, and Claire was a surprisingly good driver. In less than an hour, they reached their planned rendezvous point. Abel, get out. Claire pulled him to the edge of a scenic overlook, the city lights twinkling below like a field of fireflies. It was beautiful. Claire smiled shyly, her hands clasped nervously in front of her. She slowly moved closer. Abel, you have feelings for me, don't you? He suppressed his revulsion and smiled back. And so, her hand rested on his chest. I want something from you. You'll give it to me, right? Of course, he said without hesitation. The next second, a searing pain erupted in his chest. Claire was still smiling, a chillingly innocent expression on her face, as she twisted the sapphire blue dagger embedded in his heart. Then give me the system. The long silent system's voice returned. System transfer in progress. The pain was blinding. He couldn't speak. The dagger went deeper. He collapsed. So this was her plan. Its long silence was for her. A sigh echoed in his mind. The system said it didn't want this, but it was their last chance. The contenders had failed 99 times. If they didn't succeed this time, Julian Vance would transcend this world, which was absolutely not allowed. His consciousness faded. He heard footsteps. Claire fell into someone's arms, pounding her fists on his chest. It was the young Senator Hayes. They were the protagonists. The system sounded smug, told Abel he was smarter than it thought. Because of Julian, the two of them had been unable to meet. It had taken a great deal of effort to arrange this day. It even thanked him. With him as the public contender, Julian had finally let his guard down. Coupled with the residual power of the plot, he was bound to fall for Claire. Once Julian was conquered, everything would return to its proper track. Told him not to worry. Claire had left a note for Julian, saying Abel had kidnapped her. Everything was perfectly logical. His blood soaked the ground. He struggled to lift his head. Had spring arrived without him noticing? System transfer successful. New host, Claire Hayes. With the last of his strength, he activated the emergency beacon on his watch. Its signal shot into the night sky, a silent scream amidst the city's glow. Progress at 0%. He imagined the system, now bound to Claire, would be thrilled to hear that. An armored vehicle screeched to a halt nearby. He thought he heard Senator Hayes scream. He wished he could see it. It would have been interesting. Abel. Julian. Is Julian. It's all over. But Abel can't stay by your side anymore. Forgive me. So tired. His head throbbed. He thought he saw Julian as a boy. This time he was really dying. I'm asking you a question. Don't you have a name? The boy lay on a pile of refuse, his expression annoyed. He shook his head. You can call me Abel. Why? Because I have nothing. The boy frowned. Do you have a last name? No. The boy's brow tightened. Then you'll take mine. My name is Julian Vance. You will be Abel Vance. Abel Vance. Avoid. Suited him. He was a contender. His target was the boy before him, Julian Vance, the villain of this world. Don't you think this world is strange? Julian had asked him once. It makes no sense. I'm clearly the most capable of my father's children, but he never looks at me. My mother doesn't like me. No one does. What did I do wrong? He had pulled the boy into his arms. You did nothing wrong. The world is what's wrong. He went back to the Vance estate with Julian. He watched him suffer, watched him struggle to grow. But the flower that grew from the mud was still beautiful. Why must things return to their designated track? Why couldn't he just be himself? Abel, I've formed an elite security force. I want you to be its commander. Julian had thrown himself into his arms, his smile radiant. Of course. Abel, what's wrong? Julian touched his face, his expression worried. He was too smart. He could always sense Abel's moods. Are you leaving me? Tears fell from his eyes onto Abel's hand. He wanted to stay, but the progress had reached 99%. If he stayed, Julian would cease to be Julian. Seeing his silence, Julian shoved him away. If you leave, I will never love you again. Abel's hands trembled. He gently cupped Julian's face. Then don't love me, and don't love anyone else. Julian tried to pull away, but Abel held him with all his strength. Julian listened carefully. I don't belong to this world. He told him the truth of their reality. Julian wasn't surprised. He just gripped Abel's shirt, his hands shaking, tears soaking his chest. So everything about you was fake? Yes. He bit down on Abel's shoulder. It hurt, but his heart must have hurt more. The progress remained at 99%. Foolish Julian. If he hadn't told him, the mission might have succeeded. But he didn't want that. He didn't want to leave this place. He didn't want to leave him. He didn't want him to become someone else. There was only one way. Transcendence. Only by transcending this world could Julian escape the laws of the plot. But he needed power. The system could provide it. His system. He calmed Julian and redeemed an extractor from the system store. He placed it in Julian's hand, aimed at his own chest. He told him to use it to pull the system's power out, to reject its binding. Julian refused, throwing the extractor away and punching him. You're going to leave me here alone, aren't you? But it was the only way. Abel held him tightly, memorizing his warmth. Julian, I won't leave. I'll just forget some things. Remember, anyone who deliberately approaches you could be a contender. Don't love them. Kill them. Don't be merciful. They won't truly die. When you have collected 100, it will all be over. It will be a difficult time. He wanted to be with him. And you? For you, I will definitely come back. Julian cried so hard that day. Abel had never seen him like that. System transfer in progress. Healing card activated. Decoy card activated. Memory seal card activated. Warning. Soul damage detected. Repair card activated. Forced soul adhesion. Insufficient points. Soul compression successful. Insufficient points. System transfer successful. Rebind? No. Confirming. Rebind? No. Binding failed. Unknown force attacking. System anomaly. Energy decomposition in progress. Abel. Servant is here. Julian. My chest hurts so much. He opened his eyes. The face he had longed for was right there. Julian. A slap hard enough to sting. Julian gripped his throat and kissed him hard. The moonlight fell on the cherry blossom tree outside the window, which, after a long winter, had quietly bloomed out of season. Julian sat on his lap, his clothes in disarray, the vintage watch on his wrist hanging loose. Julian leaned down to kiss him again. The curtains fell, closing them off from the world. How did I survive? Destiny. The destiny of Claire and Senator Hayes was transferred to you. It's no wonder. How could the protagonist die? You lied to me. He knew he was at fault. He reached out to touch Julian's face but was rebuffed. How could that be? I planned everything perfectly. What if they weren't the protagonists? What if I fell in love with someone else? Abel's hand closed around Julian's neck, pulling him close. You wouldn't, and neither would I. I trust you. You bastard. You killed the senator. Abel bit Julian's collarbone, licking the spot gently. Julian shuddered. No, his death would cause too many problems. I just gave him a new identity. He traced Abel's features with his finger. The snowdrift is gone. That car was a gift Abel had given him. That watch, too. Let it be gone. A foolish machine with no judgment. Julian smiled faintly. And you? I only obey my master's commands. Julian stood up, his hands braced on Abel's chest. Then I command you to do it again. You've become so wicked. I had a good teacher. Julian's arms wrapped around his neck, a tear escaping the corner of his eye. Abel, it's over. The candlelight flickered. He pulled Julian into his arms, wishing he could merge him into his very bones. Julian whispered in his ear, progress at 100%. Congratulations, host, on completing the mission. The system's voice echoed his. Progress at 100%. Congratulations, Master, on completing your mission.